All right, everyone. I've seen several different legacy media reports, link in the description, archived, of course, to one of them. I believe that one is CNN, trying to astroturf some sort of civil war between MAHA and MAGA. Yes, oh, RFK Jr.'s loyalists are being renegades. They're at odds with the administration. And if you look at the report, that's not really what's happening. What's happening is that RFK Jr. is building up a small team of loyalists within the health industry and medically related bureaus and so forth to try to counterbalance against the bullshit of modern pharma. This is fully with Trump's blessing. This was always what he was going to do. Trump had to have known it, um, gives it his blessing, and has no problem with it. So this is not a civil war between MAGA and MAHA. This is actually him establishing a small base of people to try to go through things. It's sort of like a miniaturized Doge when you think about it, but aimed specifically at the medical industry. Trump is being, by the way, very wise in encouraging this kind of behavior. People need to effectively go in and attempt to weed out all the bullshit within these bureaus. Doge can only do so much. That's for accounting reasons. That's for, tax money and stuff like that. So far they found like what, 170 billion or something like that they're trying to cut. What RFK Jr. is doing is microcosmic in that scale, and but based on the same premise. You go in, you figure out rules that you don't need, regulations that you don't need, fire people that don't need to have a job because they're useless and so forth. That's what he's doing. When he goes after fluoride in water, he appears to have the blessing of the Trump administration. When he encourages organic food eating, he appears to have the blessing of the Trump administration. Donald himself, of course, will not follow suit because he likes his Big Macs too much, apparently. And so on and so on forth. Encouraging, basically a clean living sort of thing. Where's the Civil War? I've not seen RFK Jr. say one bad thing about Trump, nor Trump about RFK Jr. in this entire administration. Supposedly, there's a big kerfuffle going on. How? It doesn't appear that the Trump administration is clashing with RFK Jr.'s chosen inner circle or anything like that. And RFK Jr. doesn't appear to be trying to undermine the emperor or something like that, overhaul the system without permission. It doesn't appear to be happening. In fact, this article, along with the others, lie by structure over and over again. I think I've read three of them so far. The lie by structure is that when you find out about RFK Jr.'s renegades, they're renegades within his department. They're not renegades against the Trump administration. They're acting with the full permission of the Trump administration. Where's the MAGA versus MAHA? Doesn't seem to exist. By the way, MAHA sounds like a really great Hawaiian dish or something like that. Hmm. In fact, I think it is, honestly. Is MAHA also a food term? I'm pretty sure it's some sort of fish dish or some fruity dish or something like that. It's probably a form of mixed cocktail or something like that as well. And so I look at the article and I'm like, oh, RFK Jr. is at odds with Trump, supposedly. And I read through it. I read through the entire article, right? And at the top, it's like, oh, there's a civil war brewing, and RFK Jr. and Trump and they fucking hate each other, basically. But then you read down just a few paragraphs and you find out the exact opposite is actually true. RFK Jr. is effectively acting as an arm of the Trump administration, carrying out the will of the president and, to an extent, his own will with regards to the medical community. Again, there is no friction there, or there does not appear to be. There's no evidence of any friction there, that's for sure. So what are you getting at? It's a lie by structure. They only admit that halfway through the article. This happens all of the goddamn time, and I hate it. Lies by omission or structure are so much more prevalent within legacy media reporting than any other form of lies. So lie by structure, you put the real truth down in the article, knowing that 99% of people don't have the time to read that far. They're just reading a tweet or maybe the first paragraph at most or something like that. Lie by omission, you simply omit something that's pertinent to this news story. Well, this dude was, imprisoned and they think it's racial. I mean, here's body cam footage we're not going to give you of him shooting five cops or something like that. Lie by omission is just as pernicious. I look at it. I say, haha, yeah, if you read the full article, any of them, really, you'll get the real skinny. And the real skinny is that RFK Jr. is simply encouraging organic food to be grown and like backyard gardening and almost hippie shit when you think about it. I agree with it, but I'm going to call it hippie shit anyway because it's funny. And saying he doesn't want the public water systems fluoridated. Well, that's become a thing, a mainstream thing at this point. Multiple states have ended their fluoridation programs. It's not fringe. It's not bizarre. It's not aliens in tinfoil hats or anything like that. It's saying, hey, people are getting fluorosis. It's becoming a health problem. Well, let me ask you then. RFK Jr., what is his job? Public health, medicine, things like that. All right, so if there's a public health problem, why wouldn't he act? Trump hasn't said anything about it. He has no problem with what RFK Jr. is doing. To be clear, I'm not a fan of some of RFK Jr.'s stances, but in this particular role, he's doing a good job. I can't imagine that there's any, I mean, yeah, maybe he disagreed with Trump on who should win the big game or something like that. That's probably the extent of any friction. I think that Trump admires him because, much like Trump, he's a former Democrat. Donald Trump comes from effectively a proto-neoliberal background. That's why I say that he's a soft reset more than anything else. Instead of taking a drastic purgative, you decided to take a mild emetic, effectively, with Donald Trump. It's one small step for the U.S. kind, I suppose. There is no civil war between MAHA and MAGA. Again, they should have like MAHA and MAGA. They should have a MAGA restaurant. This would be funny. Have a Trump-themed restaurant. And you have like the MAGA burger, the MAHA burger. Mm, You have stuff like that. You have the Vance steak. The Vance steak is probably medium rare. The Trump steak, of course, is, charred like Razor Fist would do it. And that would be funny too. Nobody would order it though. That's about all. Peace out.